What's up guys, my name is Rylan and today I'm going to be giving you a tutorial on how to drive a manual transmission car. I'll be giving you some helpful tips and pointers as well as just showing you the basics of driving a manual transmission. Now before we jump in, I want to just say how absolutely fun it is to drive manual, especially once you get it right and you start to get good at it. It's really addicting to be connected to the car in a different way. It's just something about it that just makes it so much fun. And it's not just about the fun aspects of driving a manual, while to most car enthusiasts that can be the case. However, there is a practicality point. Say you are with your friend and he has a manual transmission car and he ends up breaking his leg or whatnot. Hypothetically, you would be able to drive his car back to a hospital, home, or wherever it may be if you know how to drive manual. If you don't, you guys could be stranded out there, especially if there's no cell service. Say you go cliff jumping or some freaking crazy shit, I don't even know. But anyways, that's one thing. Say you want to teach a girl how to drive manual transmission. It's another awesome thing to be able to do. I feel like girls have high respect for men who know how to drive manual transmissions. But hey, that's just, my thoughts and opinions on it. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of girls really do like that. So that's another good thing. And then another thing, late into the future, you win that girl over like I was just talking about. And you guys might have kids someday. And it would be awesome to have your kids learn how to drive manual transmission as well. Before I take you by a step-by-step basis, I want to let you know that the best place to practice how to drive a manual transmission is in a giant parking lot where there's not many cars at all, preferably, and there's not people. Because if you go free willy on the throttle and don't know what you're doing, have a panic attack, you don't want to hit someone, that would be very unfortunate. So, flat playing field, not a lot of shit in your way, you'll be cowabunga. Anyways, let's jump right into it. Okay, so one of the absolute most important thing that sometimes gets overlooked in driving a manual transmission, or really any car, is making sure you're very comfortable in your seating position. So shout out to Chris Harris. I learned this proper driving position from him. Basically, it just having your hand or your wrist resting atop the steering wheel, and it should be resting like that, and your arm should just only have a slight bend to it. That is the correct distance from the steering wheel itself. And basically same goes with your legs. So now looking at the legs for the proper seating position, and put your foot on the clutch pedal and press it in, and you should have, if you're in the correct seating position, your leg should almost be fully extended, just with a slight bend to it. So if you completely start out with the correct seating position, it makes it so much more easy and consistent to learn how to drive manual and work the clutch. Okay, so the next step, I guess you can say step number 2, is pretty obvious. However, to some, it may not be. So you want to turn on the car. That's the next step. Obviously, you can't drive manual if you can't go anywhere. So it's a pretty important step. Certainly can't be overlooked. Anyways, if you're really new to driving manual, like completely, you have no recollection of it, you have to press in the clutch pedal fully, and then turn the key with the clutch pedal still fully pressed in. You want it completely pressed in, and for your first time, you want to just have the emergency brake on and be in neutral and not really in gear, just in case your foot slips, you do some weird shit. Just have it in neutral for the first time. So fire up. She should start right up if you have a working car. I hope you do. Or you might want to turn off this video right now because it's about the furthest we can go. Okay, so now once you got the car on, press in the clutch pedal fully. Put the car in first gear. And once your foot's off the brake, you're gonna let off the clutch pedal very slowly. You'll feel tension and the car will start to creep forward. That's known as the bite point. So I'm going to demonstrate this here right now. Foot off the brake, slowly depressing the clutch pedal. Now my car is starting to roll and I feel tension. This is when I can get on the gas slowly and let out the clutch pedal completely. So we're in first gear right now, cruising along. Now if you find it too difficult to even get on the gas, if you're in a smooth parking lot and there's really not any inclines, then what you can do if you feel more comfortable is just putting the car in first gear and just letting off of the clutch smoothly and slowly again, and just keep doing that, and the car will actually just creep forward on itself and be able to sustain the RPMs for you to just keep on creeping. And I'm not even on the gas at all. That'll give you a better understanding of where the bite point is, and now you can get on the gas yourself, and there you go. So one more time for you guys. So you're starting out, the brake pedal is pressed in, take your foot off the brake and slowly let your foot off the clutch, and as soon as you feel that bite point, give it a tiny bit of gas and let off the clutch completely, and there you go, you are smooth sailing. So now once you're comfortable pressing in the clutch, getting in first gear and getting the car to take off, the launches are certainly the hardest part. What you're going to want to do is change into second gear. So once again, put the car in first gear, slowly depress that clutch pedal ever so slowly. Once you feel that bite point, keep letting off, but give it a little bit of gas at the same time. And now cruise around. Each car's gearing is a little bit different. You want to be around like 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour when you switch to the next gear. So this would be second gear. Now, just to do that, what you're going to do while you're going and on the gas, you're going to let off the gas once you're at that speed of like 10, 15, 20 miles an hour, depending on your car, and let off the gas, press in the clutch pedal completely, shift to second gear, and slowly depress that clutch pedal again and put your foot back on the gas, and there you go, you've shifted into second gear. Same thing for every single gear. You'll be able to feel if your car's in the right gear or not, and you can do that by, if you're in too high of a gear, your car will start to bog, and if you're in too low of a gear, then your RPMs are through the roof, and obviously that's not a good thing. That will put a lot of stress on your engine, unless you're like feeling boy racer and you're street racing or on the track, whatnot. But typically having the RPM range around 2,000 RPMs, depending on what gear, or cruising on the freeway at like 1,500 RPMs is a good range to keep your RPMs in. So if you see your tachometer and it says anywhere between 1,500 and 3,000 RPMs, then you're in a relatively good gear for how fast you're going. Just make sure you're completely away from any uphills when you're starting out, and just maybe that first couple weeks don't really go on crazy uphills unless you're feeling pretty daring and want to surprise yourself and maybe other people when your car starts rolling backwards into their car. However, if you just keep it on the flat road and take it easy and really learn that where your clutch point is, your bite point, then you'll have absolutely no problems. And when you master where your bite point is, then uphills aren't going to be an issue whatsoever. To turn the car off on a manual transmission, you're going to want to press in the clutch pedal completely, turn the car off, put the e-brake on, make sure the e-brake is on. A lot of people, when they come to a stop and park their car, they just leave their car in first gear and don't even bother with the e-brake. But if you want, that discount double check safety, then go ahead and leave it in first gear and, have that e-brake engaged. So if your clutch is worn out and your gear just decides to blow up, your car will be rolling backwards if you don't have that e-brake engaged, and vice versa. If your e-brake just blows up, at least you'll have it in gear, and hopefully you don't have a bad e-brake and a bad clutch, or your car is pretty much inoperable and I don't know why you're even driving it on the road. So once you get the kahunas to make it on the road, the street, the real street, what you want to do, well, by now you know how to drive manual transmission, unless you're just a daredevil and you're going straight to the street to drive manual. Make sure it's not heavy rush hour. But anyways, some helpful tips while you're on the street. So if you're waiting at a red light, make sure that, and especially if you're like first to go, make sure you're paying attention to when your light turns green, and maybe even have the clutch pedal in and already in gear instead of just waiting in neutral. Because if the light turns green and your shit's not together and you're rushing to hurry up and go, maybe someone's honking at you and you just, oh, light's green, you're used to driving automatic, chances are you're gonna rush depressing the clutch pedal a little too quick and you'll probably stall. I've done that myself once before where I wasn't even paying attention, the light turns green and all of a sudden like there's someone honking at me, so I'm like, oh shit, gotta go real quick, and boom, pressed in the clutch and then depressed it too quick, stalled the car, and now they're honking at me even more because I'm not going, and I have to turn the car on again and do the whole process over again. So really be observant when you're on the road. That's a pretty key element. Also, another thing that I found helpful when I was learning how to drive manual on the actual streets with traffic and whatnot is keeping your foot, your left foot, hovering over the clutch pedal instead of on the dead pedal, the little resting spot directly to the left of the clutch pedal. Now this is just going to make it a little bit quicker to press in the clutch pedal. You know, some idiot does something stupid in front of you, you got to slam on the brakes and obviously press in the clutch pedal. It'll make everything a little bit quicker for you, especially when you're learning and it's not just already second nature. So make sure you're not actually pressing the clutch pedal at all. Your foot's just kind of hovering above it or barely resting on it. Once again, it's an easier way to engage that clutch, especially if you're in a hurry. Alright guys, well I hope you learned something useful from this video, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Make sure you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. What you looking at, dog? Hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out, guys, and I'm going to be having all kinds of different videos on tutorials, reviews, and some unique car videos that I'm working on. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Also, if you like this video, make sure... Oh, there's a spider on my steering wheel. What the f...